Hello, family. This is your Sensei Al Bob coming to you on my Sensei Al Bob channel, and it's a little bit of a reminder to wake up! About 2 weeks ago, today is Sunday, the 5th. Wake up! And I had a live chat, one of my first, and I kind of brought to it a different point of view. I wanted to show you guys the mechanism you needed to understand where you're at and what you need. And that is meditation. You need to quiet down the monkey in your brain, right? Why did I spend a year and a half with Johnny John? Well, it's because he represented the canary in the social coal mine. You know, he was what David Icke talks about.
Is my perception correct that what you have been doing now is almost a complete
That guy is George
picture?
Norrie.
I think, George, the biggest mistake that people can make is to believe they've got the picture. When anyone tells me they've got the picture, they're telling me they haven't, because there's a great quote by a Greek philosopher called Socrates, which is, wisdom is knowing how little we know. And you're absolutely correct in your analysis that what I've been doing is, over the years, putting puzzle pieces together.
Putting puzzle pieces together. So that sock puppet there, George Norrie, took over a radio show from a really great storyteller named Art Bell. And he first started doing his radio show when he was in the military in Japan, and then he came here and he started working at small stations, and then he was out there in the hinterlands near Las Vegas, and he started doing a show called Dreamland because he was right next to Area 51, which code name is Dreamland because they're working on things that only people can dream of, and that go way past what they're telling folk really exist.
Connecting dots, but the trick is not to think that at any point you have found the last dot, because my journey has began with an amazing kind of what you might call spiritual experience, which opened the top of my head up and blew it off really, and from that moment I started having an amazing series of synchronistic experiences.
And that's what I want to do for you guys, and I've tried to do with you guys. Starting out with Johnny John Boy. Now, Johnny John Boy, you know, he is the most brilliant, most correct, most, amazing. He'd tell you himself how great he is. And yet he worries about everything. His body dysmorphia, how he's going to pay his bills, even though his parents drop whatever he needs into his checking account, because they're Richie Rich. I mean, Johnny John Boy is Richie Rich, you know, not all the way Richie Rich, but, you know, he doesn't have to worry, not like the rest.
Which led me to information, people who had information, which put together a picture of how the world, in the 5 sense level of reality is manipulated by a few interbreeding families through a network of secret societies to the very end that we're seeing unfold on the news now every day, the centralization of power to the point where the few control the many on a vast scale. Then this journey and these puzzle pieces took me into the fact that other dimensional entities, other dimensional influences beyond the tiny, tiny frequency that...
So I have to really thank Johnny John Boy, Richie Rich, or as I will call him from this time on, either the unmentionable one or Jimmy C. But Jimmy C gave me the ability to start to let go of where I'd gotten myself into. You know, I had been an adept my whole life. I had been living a life of total synchronicity, you know, just coming in to people. I mean, the stories that I told you and the ceremonies that I showed you in Jimmy C's videos, you know, again, thank Jimmy C because I knew about YouTube, but I didn't know anything about it, how to do it, what to do it. Jimmy C's whole life, existence, exists on the flat screen. You know, he doesn't really exist anyplace else. So his soul, his essence, his everything has been absorbed into that digital, you know, which the movie, what was that movie where everyone lived in a video reality? The Matrix. Johnny is living in the Matrix. We all live in the Matrix because we all live in these bags of water. We all are, these bags of water are not us. These are our avatar in this idiot, savant, egocentric, controlled by a hand of reptiles and other dimensional creatures. We are living a nightmare. And we don't have to wait to die to be in hell because here it is. Or by letting go, by meditating, by breathing, by going into state, by accessing our Akashic records. That's heaven because you go from your Akashic record into your Shangri-La, your higher consciousness, where you live with love's co-creation, where that is your sanctuary of your own choosing. And I, you know, actually never had money, but I've lived like a millionaire my whole life because that's what I've visualized. That's what my grandma taught me.
Human sight can access. We're also manipulating this five-sense reality we call the physical world. And now with this book, it's taken another leap forward into what is this whole multidimensional reality that we're experiencing? What is it? How's it generated? How come that although people... You know...
So, this is supposed to be a short little loop about, hey, next Sunday, a week from today, which is August 5th, a week from today, at about 11 a.m., I'm going to start another live chat. And this one's definitely going to be about a story. A story about Olga Kluver. And again, Olga Kluver is like she makes the crone pale, because the crone's amazing. You know, she still is. She's on some dimensional. See, the whole idea of evolution is incorrect because it takes out of the loop the spiritual dynamic. And what we are doing is ascending our soul through materialism, not evolving. And humanity's been here way longer than a few thousand years. We've been here millions of years because we came from someplace else. You know, Andromeda, the Perseus. You know, there's a lot of folks coming through here. You ever seen the movie Men in Black? It's kind of like, you know, Earth is that bus stop where everybody kind of cruises through. And Olga Kluver was 4 foot 8 inches tall, and she was a beautiful woman. And she wasn't a dwarf or a midget. She was a beautiful woman that was 4 foot 8 inches tall, and she wasn't from here, wasn't from this neighborhood. And she came into my life when I was about somewhere around 12, 13, 14. But 12, 13, 14, 15, whenever I was in New York City, I was with her. And she was the first woman in my life. I fooled around with girls, in 7th and 8th grade, but, as a 7th and 8th grader, nothing. And they were my friends since 3rd grade, so, we were just, experimenting, and they could trust me and I could trust them because we were buds. Tight buds. And all of these things are kind of expressed by people who let the top of their heads be blown off. People like Plato. You must read, as my students, you must read Plato's treatise on Platonic love. You must read Plato's treatise on the cave, and you definitely have to read Plato's treatise on Atlantis. You also have to read Sophocles, and you also have to read the plays of Euripides, and you also have to look at the math of the great Greek mathematician. And I'm going to let you figure out who that person is. And you need to read Chaucer and Shakespeare. And before them, there was a woman who wrote a book called Courtly Love. And back in the day of the 9th century, which was still the Dark Ages, women were some of the most highly educated because they came from well families, and their fathers wanted to make them like racehorses so the Duke and the Earl and the Prince would marry them and give them a big chunk of change. So some of the only people who could read in the Dark Ages were women. Plus, they learned about medicine, in a scientific way, because they could read Greek, and they read the Greek healers, who gave us, what's that guy, do no harm, Anyway, so all of this stuff is older than dirt. And Olga Kluver was someone from that time and space. And she picked me out of the crowd. I was a face in the crowd, and she picked me out. Very similar to what the crone did. So next Sunday, I'm going to be telling that story. And you guys who like my stories, this is going to be a story, not me just, free-ranging my subconscious, as I'm doing right now. And I'm getting into 13 minutes, 13 seconds, and I'll see you then.